echo what everybody else said here today. Thank you. This is a great venue for this event. And thank you to Corey and Lucas for organizing this, and also Coach Keller. I'd also like to thank our Director of Athletic Communications at Concordia, Jake Knobel, or Nobsy, as the football staff likes to call him. Really believe, I said it 2 years ago, that I said if we can improve as a football team, as much as we improve in our media guide, we have great success. We haven't quite improved in that way yet. But Jake's done just a phenomenal job. I think the attention to detail he puts into every sport and the work on our website has been pretty awesome. And he's done amazing things since he came on board. So I'd speak for the entire athletic department at Concordia, and I'd say thank you to him. I'd also like to thank our football staff, who's probably making fun of me right now back in Seward. I am blessed. I'm blessed to work with such a great group of people. It's so fun to come into the office every day and work with guys who have common purpose and common goals, and is so focused on the betterment of our young men and our young people. Another group that deserves special mention, and I'd say this for everybody here, are the coaches' wives, who are going to be without their husbands here pretty quick. I have a special bias for the Concordia wives, and I would be remiss not to use a forum like this to talk and recognize them. So thank you to Tanya, Jody, Emily, Sarah, Anu, Connie, and Beth. Thank you for all you do and all your support. I sit here and listen to everybody talk. I was talking to Coach Kroom. Man, everybody sounds good. Everybody sounds good. You go into this day, everybody sounds good. The adrenaline starts pumping. You start getting a little bit more and more fired up for the season. The GPAC's a fun league to compete in, and to me, being around it for a while, to me, from top to bottom, this is the best the league's been, and it's very exciting to see. I think you have to prepare. You have to be ready to play every week, and that's exciting. We feel like we made great strides as a program the past couple of years. We expected to have a good football team last fall, and we had high goals. More maybe to the people on the outside. Maybe the people on the outside, our season was somewhat of a surprise. But the people within our building, people on our campus, we had high expectations. And, ultimately, we did not reach all of our goals last fall. And, but we did make a lot of great strides. It was the first winning season, as Lucas said, at Concordia since 2001, the 2001 playoff team. Simply, for me, it was a step for us that we needed to take. It was a step for us that we needed to take, and we sincerely believe as a staff and as players, it's a part of our progression. Like everyone up here, we're excited for the 2014 season. I feel like we have a great mix of veteran players returning, also some young, green, talented players who we're excited to see and develop relationships with, and then program guys who have been itching for an opportunity to compete and play. Guys who've maybe been behind some outstanding players that are going to get their opportunity this fall. I feel like we have a group that's very hungry for success, and has a lot to prove. And I think from day one, we talked about that. We got to have a chip on our shoulder and play with energy, aggressiveness all the time. We are replacing a lot of good football players. Defensive football team, and I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go, but a lot of great football players and great people from last season, but we also know we have a great group to work with in 2014. Offensively, Coach Curran White has been our offensive coordinator the past 2 seasons. He's just done an outstanding job in leading our offense. My first 3 years as head coach, I really felt like we didn't have an identity as an offense. We struggled for any offensive identity, and we were kind of bottom tier nationally, offensive rankings, and bottom tier GPAC. Since Coach White's came on board, that we've improved dramatically, and it's across the board, and it's in every phase offensively. I think the most important thing that's changed offensively is just the player buy-in and the player belief in what we're doing and in our system and what we're teaching. We return a lot of guys offensively this year. a lot of guys that were first-year players last season. Vaughn Thomas is obviously a main returner. He's going to be a 3-year starter at quarterback for us. We have 10 guys that have started games for us returning this fall, including our quarterback, 2 running backs, our fullback, our tight end, and 5 linemen that have started games. A position what will be new and relatively new is at wide receiver. We also feel like we're going to be really talented there. This is probably as talented a group as we've been able to work with at Concordia since my time there. And, you know, I think that's going to be big and how they develop and how they mature throughout the season. But it's a young group, but it's a very talented group, and we're excited to see what they do. And I think there's going to be a lot of competition within that group. A big word for us throughout the offseason and spring was consistency. For all our improvements last fall from a statistics standpoint, we had some games last fall, especially toward the end of the year, that did not come close to playing our best football. For us to take the next step, we need to eliminate these types of performances, these types of games. We're an offense that's based on we need to be efficient. You know, our longest offensive play last season was 39 yards, and that was a run by our quarterback. So we were not real explosive, but we were very efficient, and that's something we have to be effective, and hopefully we can gain some more explosiveness throughout the season. Defensively, Coach Daberco, our defensive coordinator, year in, year out, has done just a phenomenal job since he took over in 2010. I think he does a fantastic job of getting our guys and whatever group we have that season to play to their potential. And last season was the best season statistically that we've had at Concordia since I've been there. And in terms of national rankings, we need to replace some really outstanding football players. The Conference Defensive Player of the Year, a first-team all-conference 4-year starter D lineman, a first-team all-conference 3-year starter linebacker, another guy who was another 2-year starter at defensive line, and a linebacker that was a starter, and a corner that was a starter. So we have some guys to replace defensively. With all that being said, we were really excited with how our group competed and played in the spring, and really excited about our potential as a defensive group. I believe that, you know, defensively especially, they're being told a lot of things right now, maybe from the outside, in around campus and those things. I think they got a chip on their shoulder especially, and we have high expectations for that group regardless of who graduated. And I'm confident Coach Daberco and company will get the most out of that group. Special teams coordinator, Coach Ostin, has done a great job leading our special teams group year in, year out. It sure has been fun for us to watch Derek Blessing run around in the return game the past couple of years. He's not back next year, and you know, all spring we auditioned a lot of guys, and going into this fall we'll be auditioning a lot of guys for the return game role. We also lose our punter from last season, and so we're going to be replacing a lot of things in the kicking game. We do return second-team all-conference kicker, who I feel is just outstanding and scratching the surface of what he can be. We feel like he is a definite difference maker for us. Finishing up here, you know, this day is fun. It's fun, kind of the hype machine a little bit, and it's fun to be here and talk about our teams and excitement for the 2014 season. You know, everyone here has high expectations, and for us, all the old cliches and stuff can be said. You know, we need to stay healthy, we need to develop depth, you need all those things, and that is true. That is true, but, you know, this is the time of the year we all love, and this is the time of year we're all excited about, and I'm excited to get out and coach our guys. I'm excited with the guys that we have coming back, and I'm excited to meet the new guys. We'll have guys start filtering in to campus next week. I'm excited to see all those guys come back. You know, I'm as biased as can be, but I love our group. I'm as biased as can be, but I love our group. I love what we're building, and I love our entire group that we have at Concordia, our brotherhood there. You know, I'm excited, fired up, and blessed to get to coach this team. And you know, we're looking forward to 2014 season. We open week 1, September 6th. Outstanding, you know, watching film, an outstanding Sterling team from Kansas, playoff qualifier, the KCAC conference champs last season. Any questions?
What was your downfall at the end of last season after starting the season 6-0?
I think if you look at it, we played some really good football team. that's part of it. Those are a lot of those games were fourth quarter games, and we just didn't come through and make that play in those games. And that's something we talked about quite a bit this offseason. Every game in our league comes down to that. Fourth quarter games, it's so competitive. You have to be sharp. You have to be ready to play, and any play throughout a game can affect you.
Do you have a Darnell Woods kind of guy that?
We're really excited about our safety position coming back. Tate Sybil is going to be a junior next year. He's going to be entering his third year as a starter from O'Neill, Nebraska. He's an outstanding player. Drew Baxter, we moved him up to outside backer and played outside backer a ton last season. He's going to play more back end type stuff, and he's been a 4-year type starter player for us too. So those two guys in the back end, we think, they're going to be different than Darnell. Darnell was such a dynamic hitter and explosive player. They're going to be a little bit different, but I think they're going to be very, very good.
You talk about Von Thomas, your quarterback, and how important he is to your offense.
He's part of our progression offensively, and he's just done a phenomenal job. The things that I thought his growth last season as a quarterback, an overall quarterback, was very good. We were very pleased, just with his grasp of the offense. All the things about him, and the stuff that's easy to see is the athletic ability and all those things that he brings to the table that way. But he's such a tough, hard-nosed football player. We have to back him away sometimes from throwing his body into too much stuff as a quarterback. But our players feed off that toughness. They feed off that mindset and that will to win, and that's kind of been his imprint in our program, more so than the athletic ability, more so than all those things. I always think back to I love and sometimes hate his toughness. I'm trying to tell him to run out of bounds once in a while. So,
Coach,
yeah.
Von Thomas always seems to save a really good game for Briarcliff, and in fact, after the game last year, I offered to pay for his credits if he graduate early. Have we just scratched the surface of what he's capable of?
Well, I think his growth's been outstanding in 2 years. I think we need to become a little bit more explosive around him. I think that's a big key for us, is if we can become a little bit more dynamic and explosive around him. Last year we played 2 true freshman running backs throughout the entire season. Those guys got the bulk of our carries, and they did a great job. I think those guys are going to continue to improve, and if we can become a little bit more explosive receiving the ball and make some more explosive plays in the passing game, I think that's going to open up more stuff for him. But he's done everything we've asked. He's competed, and we're excited to see what he's going to do his senior year.
October 27th, you're back here in Lincoln to play against Wesleyan. Talk a little bit about that game, just kind of the history of it, and what you're expecting this year. I know it's a long way off, and there's a lot of football to play between now and then. But.
I think when Concordia and Nebraska Wesleyan play, I don't think there's been too many times, maybe from Wesleyan's side, but I don't think there's been too many times recently where the scoreboard is exactly lit up. It's been a hard-nosed, physical football game, and that's kind of the trademark, I think, for both teams. And they're a program that when I was hired, is pretty much I talked about wanting to be, getting to that level in terms of their competitiveness week in, week out, and just the way they play. So I have a lot of respect for Nebraska Wesleyan. All right, thank you.